Okay. In this video, we are going to go over third IO and fourth conjugation verbs. So we've learned first conjugation, second conjugation, third conjugation, and now we're going to another subset of third conjugation called third IO and the fourth conjugation. So after this, you'll know all four conjugation of verbs. So let's familiarize ourselves with the endings again. So we know that first conjugation, you have O and ARE. So first part of the verb is going to end in an O. The second part is going to end in ARE. Second conjugation, you're going to have EO and a long E, ERE. In third conjugation, you're going to have O and ERE. So that is a mixture of both first and second conjugation. In third IO, it's going to be similar to third conjugation because they're sort of part of the same conjugation. It's just third IO is part of a smaller subset. It's going to be IO instead of just O, but it's still going to be ERE, and it's going to be a short E. So IO, only difference between third conjugation and third IO is that the first part of these verbs has an IO. Fourth conjugation is also going to be an IO, but the second part is going to be IRE. And that is how you differentiate between all of the conjugations of verbs. So we have O, ARE, EO, ERE, O, ERE, IO, ERE, and IO, IRE. So let's first take a look at fourth conjugation because you do the same thing for fourth and third IO. That is why we are learning them together. So here we have present tense of the verb audio, audira, audivi, and auditu, which means to hear. So, present tense, like all of our verbs, what's the first thing you do? You bring it down. They give you first person, present. Second thing we do, we need to find our stem. As always, we're just going to take off the RE. That way, we're just left with this, the I. Once we are here, then we can just put on our personal endings. So O, S, T, MUS, TIS, and this is a U. And T. So there we have present tense. So we just say what we normally do for present tense. We plugged in the first one, we got our stem, and we added our personal endings. Moving on to future. First thing we need to do for future is what? So for every conjugation, get your stem. Take off the RE. And then we need to add a sign that it's future. Now, for first and second conjugation, we added both by and boom. For future 4 and 3, A and E. So I'm going to add A and E. And then all we need to do is add our personal endings. And there you have future in the fourth conjugation. Let's look at imperfect. Nothing changes with imperfect. First thing you do, find your base or your stem. And then what do? We need to add something to make it imperfect. Now, we can't just leave it with an I. We need to add something before we add the BA. We need to add an E. And then we can add the BA. And then we just add our personal endings. Okay, now for perfect. Nothing changes for perfect. First thing we do, get our first person perfect. Now we need our stem. So all we need to do is cut off the I. And then we just add our perfect endings. And there we have fourth conjugation for perfect. So nothing changes with perfect ever. You always have your third part, take off the I, find your stem, and put on your endings. For imperfect, we got our stem. We needed to add an E, and then we added ba like usual, and then our personal endings. For future, we got our stem, then we added AE to make it future, and then our personal endings. Present tense, we got our stem, and we just put on our personal endings. So that is fourth conjugation. Now let's step back and let's look at third IO. So third IO is actually going to be a lot similar to fourth conjugation. So we have the verb capio, capere, capi, and captum. And these means to take, receive. So we look at this, we see IO, we think maybe fourth, but then we look at the ERE and we say that is third, so third conjugation, third IO. So, like always, for present tense, what is the first thing that you do? You plug it exactly in. What is the second thing that you do? Now, remember, this is third conjugation. So, we're going to go get our stem. That E turns into an I because it's third conjugation. And then we just put on our endings. Now notice that there is a U in the third. Trying to color code this. There is a U. So remember back to when we did third conjugation. Let's say ago. We changed it to I for all of these, but it's going to be you for third person plural. That doesn't change, but we keep the I because it is an IO. So when we come over here, because if we were to write this verb all the way out instead of abbreviating it like I do, wait, that's not right. No, but still, we first thing we do is we get our stem. So ERE, but that I is there in the first person, so we need to keep that I. Now, this is future, and this is third conjugation, so we're not going to be using bo, by, boo. We are going to be using A and E, so that E in the first person changes to an A. And then after that, we just put on our personal endings, because we already have the E in the rest of the forms. Next, we have imperfect. So notice how it's following fourth conjugation and mixing some of the third conjugation into it. So First thing we do, take our stem. But this is an IO verb, so we're going to keep the I. Then we're going to add baha to make it imperfect. And then we're going to add our personal endings. And that is how we get imperfect. And let's look at perfect. Again, take the third part of the verb. Then we need to take the I off to get our stem. And then we just need to add our endings. And the A that used to be capping, so it used to be capio, that A turns into an E in the perfect, which differentiates the forms. So there you have third IO, imperfect, imperfect, future, and present. So with all of that, we will know the whole present system. So we know all of our conjugations, 1, 2, 3, third IO, and fourth conjugation, and present, future, imperfect, and we also know the perfect because that does not change.